So time to put in some form controls, form elements if you like. So the first one we're going to put in is two labels and two input boxes for our first name and our last name. So we create a first name, last name, input boxes with labels. So let's put down a label first of all. So label, and we'll make this first name. And I'll just show you that running on the contact us page. Click it over here and you can see first name there just literally comes up as a label first name, so nothing major yet. Now then we go in and we put in an input element, and the input element, well, we want a text box, so we say type is equal to text, so that will tell the input element that this particular box we're putting in is going to be a text box. So that means that you can only put in like a single line of text. We're also going to give it some more attributes in a moment, but for the moment I'm just going to keep it very simple here. We're going to put nothing else in there because the input tag is actually a self-closing tag, so just keep it simple there. Let's run that off. And you can see that the text box is ready to rock and roll there. So if I go back in now, it's important to put in some more attributes. First attribute I'm going to put in is I'm going to bind the label and the input box together. Now there's a couple of reasons we do this. One of the reasons is anyone with visual impairment can also click on the name and it will toggle the box. It's just a bigger target area, but we bind the two of them together doing that. So to do that, we just say label for, and I'm going to give it an ID here of first name. Now I know it's not called ID, but down here in the input box, I just say then ID equals first name. And what this means is that this label is for an input box with an ID of first name. So they're both binded together now by the ID and what it's for. So the name, the value there. So that's that. Next attribute I'm going to give it is just a name. This is actually used in your action. So I can use in your action. So if you're doing a button action or whatever, the value for the name is often picked up. And the last one here is we're going to put a placeholder. And what a placeholder does is it puts in kind of some stuff in the input box. So it's like a prompt. So if you want to say here, your name, ... let me run that off now. And you can see it's ready to, puts in a little placeholder, so it's in its place. And once I click in it, that will, once I start typing, it disappears. So I'm saying my first name there is Brendan. And you can see, but once I get rid of that, the placeholder comes up. So just a quick recap here on this first input box we're putting in with the label first name. So what we've got here is we've got it bind together by its the input box's ID, which is so the attribute name is ID, the value is first name, and you can see here that this attribute up here for, they get binded together. It's kind of like saying that this label is for an input element that has an ID first name. So that's how we say it there. It's a text input box, so that's the type it is. We're also giving it a name here, first name, which will be used in some actions later on. And the placeholder is your name. I can put in anything I want there. So again, to have a quick look at that and run that, and that's what we're presented with at the moment. Quite simple, basic, but it works.